Thank you for joining Craig's Gun Channel this week. This week we're going to cover the Colt Woodsman. The Colt Woodsman is a single-action semi-automatic pistol in .22 long rifle originally designed by John Browning. It was manufactured by Colt from 1915 through 1977. There were three models in the original series, the Target, Sport, and Match, with the first model being the Target, offered in 1915, featuring a 6 5/8 inch barrel. It was originally called the Colt Automatic Target Pistol, with the Woodsman name not being added until 1927. It featured a heel release for the magazine and did not have an automatic slide stop. In 1933, the Sport model with a 4.5 inch barrel was added to the line, and it was envisioned as being a field sidearm for hiking and camping. And finally, in 1938, the Match Target model was released, which featured a 6 5/8 inch heavy slab-sided barrel, heavier grips, and a hand-honed action for smoother, lighter trigger pull. Production of these models continued until the United States' involvement in World War II in 1941, and the firearms of this span are classified as the first series. In 1947, the second series was created when the line was reintroduced with a redesign which had a heavier frame, a side-mounted magazine release as well as a magazine safety, and an automatic slide lock. The Match Target model was available with a 4.5 or 6 inch barrel, the Target with a 6 inch barrel, and the Sport with a 4.5 inch barrel. In 1950, a fourth model, the Challenger, was added, representing a more economical version featuring non-adjustable sights and either a 4.5 or 6 inch barrels. In 1955, the third and final series was created when the lineup was again redesigned. The magazine release was moved back to the heel, and the magazine safety went away. The trigger guard and grip designs were changed, and the economical Challenger model was discontinued and replaced by the Huntsman. Production continued until 1977 when the entire line was discontinued. The example here is a first series Colt Woodsman Target model that was produced in 1936. Let's take a closer look. As is always the case, you want to ensure that the firearm is in fact empty and clear of all ammunition. So we'll do a quick safety check first. Remove the magazine, and as we can see, it is empty and clear. Lock the slide back, and as we can see, it's all empty and clear as well. So we'll go ahead and take a look at the controls and features of the Colt Woodsman, and then show a quick disassembly and field strip. So, basic controls: we have the trigger. It is a single action only trigger. We have the magazine release. It's a heel style release. It's on the back right here. And you would just simply pull back on that, and then the magazine can be removed. This is our safety right here. You lift up for safe, and it's got a little tab that goes into a notch in the slide, so on safe it locks the trigger, but it also locks the slide from being able to be pulled back. There's another notch right here, and if you pull the slide back, lift the safety up just a tiny bit there, and that's what locks the slide back. It does not have a last round hold open, so the only way you know that you're empty is you'll pull the trigger and nothing will happen. This button here is to lock the recoil spring assembly. That is the first step in the disassembly process. You want to make sure that you lock that recoil spring back. Failure to do so will cause some issues as far as being able to reassemble, and the firearm will not function properly if you do get it reassembled without doing that. So we'll show you how to do that here in just a second. So basically, the first step, you would pull the slide all the way back, push down on that button, and then go forward with the slide until there's no spring tension. At this point, the recoil spring is locked in place. The next step would be to pull the trigger to release any tension on the hammer. And next, this is knurled here on the back strap. The back strap runs from here all the way down to the bottom of the grip. You push in on that knurling, and what happened is when you push in, basically you push kind of forward and up, so kind of this direction. And when you do that, that will let it unlock from the back, and then this can be lifted out. This is the locking piece. This also has the hammer spring. There's a plunger tube right here that is what powers the hammer itself, and then this assembly is what locks it all together. There's this tab here which locks into a notch in the frame, and that's what holds everything together. This is the sear spring, magazine catch, and magazine spring. Once that's removed, you can now slide the slide off the frame. On the inside of the slide, there is the recoil spring in its locked position, and there's a little tab here. It's a little spring tab, and that's what pushing that button in will lift that tab and allow it to then lock into the guide rod of that recoil spring to lock it into place. If that was not locked into place, the recoil spring would be all the way back here, and you wouldn't be able to disassemble the firearm correctly. It could cause damage to the spring. The spring itself actually would go out to about here in its fully extended state, and if it wasn't locked in when you take the slide off, as often as not, it will pop out, and then putting it back in is very difficult, and it can be, you can damage the spring doing so. So you want to make sure you do not forget to do that step. This is the extractor right here. It is of course, spring loaded. The spring is inside the slide right here. The firing pin is right here, and of course the hammer would hit that, and then that's what would drive the firing pin out to fire the cartridge. So you'd basically want to clean everything in here, clean all the gunk out and all the any type of crud or anything that's built up. Clean the bolt face, kind of hold the extractor open and clean up underneath that. So basically clean everything out, oil it to help operation and to prevent corrosion. On the frame itself, you'd want to clean everything out. The feed ramp here, clean the barrel, the inside, the outside, wipe everything down, scrub everything out. This is your ejector. The ejector, the way that works is we'll put get a dummy round here and put in. The extractor would basically lock onto the round like so. And of course that would be in the chamber. When the slide comes back, that ejector goes into this channel here, and basically as the slide comes back, it pops the round out, and that's what ejects the empty cartridge. You have the hammer here, and get it to come forward here. This is the hammer strut. This hammer strut is what engages in with the plunger here to take the energy from that spring that's in the plunger tube to drive the hammer. Now it's a little hard to see, but there's a little piece let's see, right here there's a little metal piece. That's the sear, and this spring will actually push on that sear, and that's what is used to control the sear. Then the strut would be on top of that, and when you go to reassemble it. So as far as this spring itself, there's a little tab on this piece, and there's a notch in the frame. So when you put this spring in, it comes in here. You want that to go into that notch. It sits on top of the sear. Then the strut would come down. So for reassembly, go ahead and slide the slide onto the frame. Make sure then the hammer goes forward. You want to pull the trigger, make sure it goes all the way forward. You then put this spring in. You'd want the strut, the hammer strut, to be down in this position. You would then take this piece and slide it into there. And at this point, you'd want to kind of make sure that strut goes down into that plunger tube. Now at this point, you'll push in on it again until it clicks into place. So again, you'll be kind of recreating that pushing kind of this way on it, and at the same time pushing down on this back end until that locks into place down here. Now at this point, everything's reassembled. So we pull the slide back. The first thing you're going to do is cock the hammer. You keep pulling back until it goes back all the way, then you let go forward, and then that releases the recoil spring from that little lock, and now we've got the recoil spring engaged again. And then just do a function test. Then we're fully assembled. I hope you enjoyed looking at the Woodsman. These pistols were wonderfully engineered and manufactured and are sought after by collectors today. Not only are they a collectible piece of history, they're also very accurate and dependable firearms and will make a fine addition to any collection. I would like to thank Dan for letting me share this one with you this week, and as always, until next week, be safe.